Coming up on this episode of One-on-One Sports.
We go over some of the biggest storylines from the unofficial American holiday, Super Bowl Sunday.
Plus, our college basketball experts analyze whether 3 of the top teams this year have what it takes to make a run in the big dance.
And our NHL and NBA experts cover the midseason points.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts
right now. Welcome to the first episode of the spring semester here at One-on-One Sports. I'll be joined at the desk this semester by Jared Kimball.
Peyton Manning, Connor, and I all finally have something in common. We all drank a ton of beer on Sunday night. Here's the starting 5.
Super Bowl Sunday came and went as the Denver Broncos claimed Super Bowl 50 with a 24-10 win over the Carolina Panthers. The end of the season leaves fans with nothing to do but speculate on what could happen next season. Among these speculations is the big question. Will Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning retire on top, or will he start his 19th season trying to win back-to-back Super Bowls? Jared, what are your thoughts?
You know, he's the oldest quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl. Now he has 200 wins. Yesterday he said he was at peace, which makes it sound like he's going to die, but I think that he needs to decide to retire. His back is hurt, his neck is hurt, his rib cage, his ankle, his wrist. He's about to turn 40 years old. You know, the Super Bowl helped him a lot because a lot of people would remember his legacy as him losing a lot of games, throwing a lot of interceptions.
Exactly, and he's a winner at heart, which is why this is his time to go out on top, as on top as he could be after a game like that. Obviously, this was a rough season for Peyton Manning. I loved watching him throughout his career, but this was ugly. He had the lowest QBR and total QBR of his career, even a lower number than he did when he threw 28 interceptions his rookie year. I think he rode the Broncos D this year and in the Super Bowl especially.
And people will try to say that this is his worst season ever, but now they can't say that because he won the Super Bowl. Might as well use that as his legacy.
It's time for number 18 to retire after 18 years in the league.
It's never easy losing a Super Bowl. Just ask Panthers quarterback Cam Newton. After the Super Bowl loss, Newton decided to abruptly get up and leave the interview room, which raised some eyes in the industry. Was Cam out of line, and will this impact the view of the public of his character?
Look, this only gives Cam Newton haters more ammo. Whether it's fair or not to Cam Newton, this doesn't look good. Cam has had no problem in his career keeping supporters with him. Look at any Facebook page from a Charlotte native or a Carolina native. They love Cam Newton. His issue has been convince the haters that he has the right attitude, and this press conference just shows that he's not able to handle a tough loss like this.
It was absolutely disrespectful, and today he came out and said, if you're a good sport, if you're a good loser, then you're a loser. So are guys like Roger Federer,
Jim Kelly, who did it 4 times?
Yeah,
Jim Kelly
when guys
4
lose
times?
and they come out and they're a good sport, what is that trying to teach the youth? Especially now that he's the face of the NFL. He was the MVP this year. Kids look up to him, and this puts a bad spot on the NFL because it's
and I hate to bash Cam Newton based off this one moment. The big takeaway we can take from this is that this one moment doesn't define Cam Newton as a person, as a player, or as an NFL player, right? And so what matters is what he does after this. Does he become a player that has a better attitude in press conferences? We'll see, but that's going to decide his legacy.
Enough of the dab. At least we can get rid of that.
1 year removed from a Super Bowl defeat to the Patriots, Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch tweeted a photo of hanging cleats from a telephone wire, which many believe signifies his decision to retire. Well, the decision's official. Lynch's agent confirmed with the Associated Press on Monday that the running back does intend to retire. So do you think that Marshawn's calling it a little bit too soon?
No, I'm not surprised by this at all. You know, he's going to turn 30 years old, and the average age of a running back through their career is 2.57 years, and he made it 10 years. I think his power style of running really was a wear and tear on his body. He had a lot of injuries, and he played a lot of games throughout his career, so it's just about time. The thing that stinks is we might lose Peyton Manning, Calvin Johnson, and Marshawn Lynch all in the same year.
As a fan, I hate this, but as a human being, it's completely understandable. Look, Marshawn Lynch provided us with many memories. His 67-yard TD run versus the Saints was amazing, prompting the internet and Twitter to explode. But as a human being, if these injuries are the reason why he's retiring, I'm all for it. We've seen too many running backs get injured and it affect them post-career. Look at Earl Campbell, a guy who resembles Marshawn Lynch very much in his running style. Sometimes he's had difficult walking. He has to use a wheelchair. And that's the last thing that Marshawn Lynch and a lot of football players want, is to have problems after.
Yeah, and Campbell's a Hall of Fame running back, similar stats. So let's see if Marshawn will make the Hall of Fame. On January 27th, Calgary Flames defenseman Dennis Wideman delivered a forceful cross-check from behind to an NHL linesman his way to the bench. Later that week, Wideman was suspended 20 games for violating NHL Rule 40. Connor, what actions do the NHL need to take moving forward for these kinds of situations?
This is really concerning.
It
First,
is.
I think
Yes.
stricter penalties need to be enforced, but the concussion protocol needs to be revisited.
Exactly.
There have been reports coming out that the Calgary Flames knew that he had concussion symptoms earlier. I believe in the first period, a concussion spotter who came in with this new concussion protocol that they implemented, he spotted that Wideman had concussion-like symptoms. He told the team, and they did nothing about it. That is so concerning to me, and the Flames should be held just as accountable as Dennis Wideman.
This is a very confusing story. A lot of things are coming out, and if he really had a concussion, I feel like he would have went back and let the trainers help him out. So that kind of seems a little sketchy and feels like he's lying just to cover his back.
See, I'm going to go on the other side there. If he's had a concussion, is he really in the mental state to decide if he's the one who should be playing? Because he refused to come. He refused to stay on the bench, and he went back onto the ice. If I have a concussion, I'm not in the mental state to make any decision.
Well, the other thing is the NHL needs to protect their employees, and he should have been suspended for the year just to show and send that message.
Right, couldn't agree more. NBA executives are pulling off their best queen impression as another coach bites the dust. Yesterday, the New York Knicks fired head coach Derek Fisher after a 23-31 start to the season. Fisher joins a growing list of coaches fired this season, featuring former Cleveland head coach David Blatt, Houston's Kevin McHale, Brooklyn's Lionel Hollins, and Phoenix's Jeff Hornacek. Jared, is it the coach's fault or the player's fault in these situations?
I like the queen line right there.
Thank you.
What are the expectations now for a head coach in the NBA? Do you have to win the championship to not get fired? David Blatt got fired, and he only has 14 losses with a great team that he took to the finals.
Yep.
And there's guys like Phoenix, Jeff Hornacek getting fired. He has a up-and-coming young team. I'm not expecting this team to be amazing. Let him stay there. Let him build out the team. Also, New York was playing much better than they should have been. Derek Fisher was taking that team to new avails that shouldn't have happened.
I think you hit the nail on the head when you said expectations. These teams had most of these teams had extremely high expectations, and they weren't performing up to those expectations. I think they were set too high. So when it comes down to it, a coach is easier to fire than a player. So these executives believe that the talent's on the roster, but it's not clicking. The only way to do is have the coach fall on the sword, and that's what's happening this season.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all the time we have for the quick hitters, but don't go anywhere. Coming up next, I sit down with our NBA experts to give out some midseason grades. While the spring semester is just starting here at Elon and students won't have to worry about grades anytime soon, the NBA will begin their All-Star break in 3 days, and it's time for our talent to hand out some midseason grades. Seated beside me is Alex Afori and Eric DiStefano, who are here to discuss what grades some of these conferences deserve thus far. So let's start in the East in the Atlantic Division. Eric, what grade would you give them?
I give them a D. I can't give them anything higher than that, and quite frankly, they don't deserve it. I know Boston and Toronto have been playing great. They have top 5 seeds in the East right now, but then you've got the Knicks, you got Brooklyn, and you've got the beloved 76ers, who are on track to get Ben Simmons, that #1 pick. There's too many bad teams, not enough balance, not enough to balance out the good teams.
I mean, I look at it and you can say the Celtics have greatly surpassed expectations this season. I mean, on their own, I give them an A. The Raptors, I probably give them an A too. I'm going to give the division as a whole a C because the rest of the teams just really bog it down. I mean, you have the Sixers, who obviously tanking, and then you have the Nets, who I think they're actually outplaying their talent. They've picked up more wins than I thought they were because from a talent standpoint, they're bad. And the Knicks are still somewhat in the playoff hunt. They're not completely out of it yet.
I'm going to go with Alex on this one just because I don't think anyone expected this division to be fantastic, and Boston's come out of nowhere, really, and Toronto has played up to their potential as well. So I'd go with a C for right now, but let's move to the Central Division.
Yeah, for the Central, I'll give them a B+, actually. They have 4 out of the 5 teams in the division in the playoffs, and the Bucks have been a pretty disappointing team. That's what sort of prevents them from being in that A range there, and not having their coach doesn't help. But the Cavs and Pacers have been good to great for the majority of the season, and the Bulls have struggled more than most expected, but they'll still make the playoffs, and they're always going to be a threat with Jimmy Butler and Rose there.
Yeah, I think this division, I have them at an A. I think it's been phenomenal. Detroit has outplayed expectations, I've thought. Milwaukee has struggled a little bit, but they're a team who I could see getting back into the playoff hunt a little bit late in the year. if they start to play better defense. And then the Cavs are obviously the Cavs playing phenomenal defense. Yeah. And, you know, with the Pacers, we didn't know how the whole Paul George injury would impact their team. I think they're holding up pretty well.
Yeah, sure. I'd give them an A on this one. I'll go with Eric just because having 4 teams above 500 is never a bad thing, especially when that 4th team is the Detroit Pistons with Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson leading the way. That division has done fantastic this year. Yeah. All right, so let's move over to the West here with the Southwest Division. Eric,
so this division, I think they've greatly they haven't exceeded expectations at all. They've been very, very disappointing as a whole. And I know you've got 4 out of the 5 people or teams in that division above 500, but you look at the Rockets. They can't find any rhythm right now. The Grizzlies, they actually just lost Marc Gasol probably for the year, and they've struggled before that. And then the Mavs, they're struggling. Wes Matthews hasn't really been what they thought he would be, so that division very disappointing.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give the division an A, and I'll tell you why. They do, for all the struggles of the teams there, they do have 4 out of 5 teams in the playoffs, and they have the Spurs there. They're historically greatly in that pack of playoff teams. I mean, they're on pace for the highest win margin in NBA history. I think that really is what propels that division.
I just look at that division. They've always been so dominant, and I think that's
and that's why I'm going with Eric on this one. The Memphis Grizzlies have really not done well this year. Marc Gasol is really going to hurt them, so I wouldn't give an A just yet. But let's move to the last division, the Pacific Division.
Yeah, so for the Pacific, I'm going to give them a B-. And I know everyone looks at the Warriors and asks why I can't be higher. Well, yes, you have the best team in the NBA, maybe in NBA history, but you also have the 2 worst teams in the West, in the Suns and the Lakers. And the Kings are still in the playoff hunt. They're around, and the Clippers have been pretty good without Blake Griffin. But I think overall,
I kind of agree with you on this. I've got them at a B, and I can't really give them anything lower than that, just because how dominant the Warriors have been. And then we forget about the Clippers without Blake Griffin for a good part of this year, and they're still actually holding up well in the West. And then the Kings they've been dysfunctional, but they've been better than I thought they'd be. So I'm going to give them a B.
Yeah, I think a solid B or B- is good for this group. Phoenix has been surprisingly bad. They just fired their head coach, so that's the reason why you can't give them anything higher than that, despite the success of the top 2 teams. Well, that's all the time we have for this block, but make sure to tune back into the NBA when they return from their All-Star break and look to maintain, or in some cases, improve these grades. Up next, Jared goes to the gridiron with our NFL experts.
RBIs and 36 homers. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it deep back into the stands.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
The Super Bowl has come and gone. After 50 years of great football, our experts Tim Krause and Rajat Agarwal are here to look back at the best players who have played the best in the biggest game. We will take turns drafting through 4 positions, and after, I will decide what team would be more likely to win. Tim has the first pick, but just like the Patriots, his favorite team, it's going to be taken away.
Are you kidding
for
me?
cheating.
That's what I like to hear.
Rajat's got the first 2 picks.
Don't worry,
of the
unlike
draft.
Mr. Kraft, I'm suing the league for my pick back.
Okay, go ahead, Rajat. What's your first pick?
All right, so if I take a look at the draft board and we're going quarterback first, I think it's hard to go against Steve Young, one of the greatest performances of all time. If you look at the stats, 325 yards, 6 touchdowns, scored on the first 2 possessions. And I think that's key. The dominance of the performance, just from start to finish, is incredible. And what his team was able to do, they came into the game as an 18.5-point favorite, the largest ever, and they won by more than that. Almost
Rajat,
double
I'm
that.
glad you did that because that leaves the greatest Super Bowl quarterback that I can take with my last pick. Thank you.
All right, you got the second pick too. Go ahead.
All right, second pick, we're going over to the running back. This is a tricky pick because there haven't been as many running backs, but I'm going to go with Terrell Davis.
Nice.
Record-breaking performance, 157 yards, 3 touchdowns. It's not like he was ripping off big runs throughout the game, but consistent throughout the game and got the job done.
Starting off hot. Go ahead.
I'm glad he didn't take him. You got to go wide receiver here. You got to go with Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver in history. Super Bowl 29, 10 receptions, 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unbelievable. I'm happy with that.
Incredible. Right back to Rajat. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, I'm going to jump to receiver as well. And you might disagree with this, but I don't think you can disagree with it. Santonio Holmes, what he did on that one drive. He doesn't get credit in terms of rankings. That one drive, 3 catches on that final drive, and then maybe the most absurd catch in Super Bowl history right there at the end.
I like that little Jets.
All right, since you already took QB and running back, I'm going to take my defensive player here, and I am going to go extremely recent history. Von Miller. This year, Von Miller had the most impressive performance in history. 2.5 sacks, 6 tackles, 2 red zone forced fumbles that led to the Broncos' 2 touchdowns. He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. He won the game.
He was great then, and the AFC Championship.
Yeah, that performance will be hard to beat. And to beat that performance, I'm going way back to Super Bowl 5. Chuck Howley. He won the MVP in the Super Bowl on a losing team.
As a loser.
You know where it's coming from. 2 interceptions in the game. Just an amazing performance. I don't think you'll ever see anything like that again.
Rajat broke out the record book there. What about you?
So I said I'd pick quarterback last, so I'm going to go with my running back, and I'm going to go Emmitt Smith in Super Bowl 28. He had 132 yards and 2 touchdowns, but 92 of those yards in both scores came in the second half. It's the greatest second half in rushing-wise in Super Bowl history. He was awesome.
Since you got your first pick taken, you got another one to end off the draft.
You got to go with the greatest player in Super Bowl history, and that is no doubt Joe Montana. Super Bowl
I thought you were
24.
gonna say Tom Brady there.
No. Super Bowl 24.
too.
He was 22 of 29, 300 yards, 5 touchdown passes, no picks. I'm extremely happy to pick him with the last pick.
All right, I have to go with Tim's team. It's just too good. He's got great players at every position. Von Miller was outstanding, and he's got the best wide receiver, one of the best quarterbacks, one of the best running backs. San Antonio Holmes.
Joe Montana.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Enough said.
The 1-on-1 Super Bowl All-Stars are picked, and even though a few players might have a bone to pick with these guys, it is time to hit the court with college basketball when we return.
Throughout this season, Oklahoma, Kansas, and UNC have been among the frontrunners for the national title. However, in what has become the norm this season, none of these teams have been truly dominant, and each have suffered upsets at least once within the last two weeks. I have Thomas Hale and Mason Stoff here to discuss whether each of these teams has a drive to make it to this year's Final Four. So let's start with Oklahoma here, a team that is dominated by Player of the Year candidate Buddy Hield. What do you say, Thomas? How far do they go?
I think they're going all the way to the Final Four. I mean, they've just been so dominant this season, and like you said, Buddy Hield is an absolute monster, leading the team in scoring, and he's carrying the team, really. My only issue is they won't make it if they try to shoot up too many threes. They're a really good three-point shooting team, but sometimes they get a little too three crazy, and then they start missing, and they fall behind because they don't have a very good defense.
Yeah, I completely agree that Oklahoma's going to the Final Four. I say barely because if Buddy Hield doesn't have a good day, then you're relying on people like Isaiah Cousins and Ryan Spangler to have pretty much uncharacteristic games. But Buddy Hield hasn't shown that he's going to slow down anytime soon. So I say that Oklahoma goes to the Final Four, Okay.
I think this team really lives and dies by Buddy Hield. So like you said, if he has an off day, and teams that shoot threes in the NCAA tournament usually don't go very far when they're having an off night.
Exactly.
So let's move to Kansas, a team that usually has it all going during into the tournament, and then they go out early, or they rarely win the championship as many as people predict. So
yeah, I say that they're going to change that around this year in 2 words. Veteran leadership. Perry Ellis, who feels like he's been there since I was born. Frank Mason.
He looks like it, too.
And Wayne Selden. These are great players, and they know how to win when it matters. They've already beaten Oklahoma. They've beaten Kentucky. I think that they go to the Final Four this year.
See, I'm going completely opposite direction. I don't think they make it. They haven't made the Final Four in the last 3 years. They've either gotten knocked out in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. And me personally, I don't think Perry Ellis is the guy that's going to lead the way. He's not that big superstar.
But he is a veteran leader, and he knows how to win games. Shabazz Napier, Frank Kaminsky, these are all senior leaders who were able to take their teams to the Final Four. I think Perry Ellis can do it.
I don't think he's the guy.
I mean, I'm going to go right in between you guys. I say Elite Eight here. Kansas has a ton of talent, a ton of veteran leadership, but you never know this early in the season with a team like Kansas who's had a history of going out early.
Okay.
So let's move finally to North Carolina, a team with Marcus Page, Kennedy Meeks. They have all the pieces there. Can they make the run?
I'm going to go with Mason, like what he said earlier. I'm going to say possibly. Here's my hypothesis. If UNC can finish out the end of their season right now, they're going to be playing the best teams in the ACC. But if they can come out with a winning record after that, I think they're going to be rolling through the tournament.
And I'm going to say when they don't, because they're 3-4 in true road games. They
All
lost
right.
at Northern Iowa. They lost at Virginia. They lost against Louisville. And it's just they still have games against Virginia, at Virginia. They have a game at Duke, and they have a game at NC State.
Which is why I think if they win, they can totally run through it.
But they haven't proven that they can win on the big stage away from home. And those are, if you're going to win a national
Now's their
championship,
chance
you have
to prove
to
it, though.
prove that you can win games on the road
And they're
in
gonna want
big
to.
situations. They haven't done it. I don't think they can. I really don't.
We'll find out.
Right now, I have to go with Mason, just
Okay.
because Marcus Page has seen a dip in minutes and thus numbers so far this season, and Marcus Page is a big reason why UNC has had success over the past couple of years.
Right.
So right now, the past 2 games, they have 2 straight losses. So right now, I can't put them in the Final Four, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, that's all we have for this block. Coming up next, Jared goes to the ice. Stay tuned.
I don't know what's happening. Start a new chat. What did I do? Okay. Wow. That is so weird.
Hey! Hi!
Oh my gosh. Hi! God, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm so nervous. Gia, you're so big. Come closer to the camera. Wait, now you're in my face. That was so good.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised.
Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
The NHL has recently passed its halfway point, and after the All-Star break, teams are focusing on their playoff push. Our experts Cam Soselski and Elizabeth Benjamin are joining me here at the desk to talk about some teams that have some surprising starts. All right, we're going to start off with our surprise team. So, Kim, who do you got?
I'm picking the Florida Panthers. And how can you not? This team has come out of nowhere.
Exactly.
They've been in the basement the past few years. A couple years ago, they were selling season tickets, that's 41 games, for about $200. And now, the place is filling up. The fans are getting behind this team, and for good reason. Jaromir Jagr, he's playing some of the best hockey of his career. If he can stay healthy, they're going to keep it up. On the back end, you have the triple-headed monster of Aaron Ekblad, Dmitry Kulikov, and Brian Campbell defensively, and that's where they've struggled in the past. They've been very strong this season. Luongo's had a resurgence in his career. I have loved what the Florida Panthers have done this season.
That's a very good team. I'm going to say the Dallas Stars. Last year, they came from not even making it into the playoffs to this year having 2 All-Stars, and Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. Already, they have 71 points, and it's just the halfway point in the season, whereas last year they ended with 92. And this year's team is a lot better. They, in the offseason, acquired Antti Niemi, Patrick Sharp, and Johnny Oduya. They all have tons of playoff experience and veteran leadership.
Well, and Jason Spezza there right now. The Dallas Stars have put something very, very special together this year. Jamie Benn, for a long time, has been waiting for another winger to play off him, and Tyler Seguin has been that guy. They've been incredible. A lot of good things coming out of the South for hockey. Dallas, Florida.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think both of these teams are a big surprise, honestly. I'm going to have to go Dallas. Luongo is a great player. They have a lot of good young guys. I kind of saw it coming. ESPN actually had them top 10 at the beginning of the season. So I don't think it's too surprising, but it is really surprising that they are leading the division. I'm going to go with Dallas. Their defense and their goaltending isn't that great. But let's switch over. We're going to do disappointment team now. What are you going to go with?
I'm saying the Calgary Flames. In the scheme of things, they're not a huge disappointment just because of their history as a disappointment. But compared to last year when they were the last playoff spot in, to this year, only having 49 points at the halfway mark, which is pretty similar to what they finished with last year, too. They're on pace to set that. However, the competition in this year, due to, TJ Brody's injury, the suspension of Dennis Weidman, they're having some problems now.
Yeah, with Calgary, the thing is, they were the surprise team of last year to even get into the playoffs, with that late push. So that's why it doesn't surprise me, or it doesn't disappoint me too much where they're standing right now. The team that does disappoint me, also out of the Western Conference, also out of Canada, is the Vancouver Canucks. These guys have been kicking around for so many years now, and their window, it's closing. Their window to win a championship is closing. The Sedin brothers are getting older. Ryan Miller in net is not the player he used to be. Also, they are 21 goals negative this year in terms of their goal differential, and they have 12 overtime losses. That's the most in the league. They have been vastly disappointing this season.
Yeah, I got to go with Cam on this one. I look at Calgary's team, and I just don't see it coming from that. I was really surprised them making the playoffs last year. So, yeah, I got to go with Vancouver. And I'm really disappointed in the GM not putting guys around those solid players in Sedin.
Yeah, I mean, he's had this core for so many years and hasn't been able to do anything with it. Obviously, they got to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Bruins, but we all know how that went.
They also lost Ryan Kessler lately, too.
Yeah, exactly. Time for a line change before the Sedin brothers come and drop the gloves with Cam over here.
I'm not worried. I'm not worried.
Connor will join me back at the desk for our favorite commercials from Super Bowl Sunday.
This past Super Bowl game may have had fans a little bored because of a defensive battle, but the commercials never fail to entertain everyone. So, Jared, my question to you is, what was your favorite commercial this year?
They did fail to entertain me a little bit. I was kind of disappointed. I'm definitely not going puppy, monkey, baby, or whatever that Mountain Dew commercial was. Very weird. I'm going to go T-Mobile. They had 2 great ads. I thought they killed it. They had the Hotline Bling one with Drake and the employees dancing around at the end. I thought it was really funny. And then they had Steve Harvey, a little hit at pop culture because he messed up the pageant, and now he's saying Verizon messed up. I thought that was really funny as well. I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I was a big fan of the Wiener Dog commercial.
A lot of people were.
Because, I mean, Super Bowl 50 was packed with dog commercials, whether it was dogs driving cars, or in this case, it was dogs running over this field, Wiener dogs, dressed in hot dog suits, running towards the ketchup and mustard bottles. So I thought it was hilarious, cute dogs, everything like that. I'm a dog person myself, so I was entertained.
Especially because people missed out on the Clydesdale puppy.
Yeah,
they were
exactly.
A little mad. It was good.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of 101 Sports. Huge thanks to our producers and crew and talent for putting on a great show, and also to you, the viewer, for tuning in.
If you missed anything, be sure to check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 101 Sports. Thanks for watching, and until next time.
Eastside,